What's up, and welcome to the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. I'm your host, Kat Kozad, manifestation expert, money mindset and fulfillment coach, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur. Come sit with me while I spill the real tea on what it's like to practice using intentional manifestation, demystify all of the woo-woo and confusing bullshit that comes along with creating the life of your dreams, and give you a realistic view of what it's like to be on a personal, spiritual, and professional growth journey. The goal of this podcast is to support and guide you towards manifesting all of your dreams, shed light on the things that people are too scared to talk about, and encourage you to become the person who gets to have it all, be it all, and do it all. I am so happy you are here. Let's fucking do this thing. What's up, loves? Welcome back to another episode of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. Today, we have a podcast episode for all of you that is one of the most highly requested topics that I have gotten for the podcast. And this has come through all of you who follow me over on Instagram and watch my Instagram story. You will know that I have been on a sobriety journey. And I am, when this podcast episode is released, 6 months sober, which is something, honestly, in my adult life I thought I would never say. So I'm really excited to dive into this topic with all of you, because the more and more that I chat with other people, especially women, about my sobriety journey and why I chose to go on it in the first place, the more that I learn that a lot of people really don't want to be drinking, but they feel as though they have to because it's so infused in our society, in dating, in sex, in work events, in fucking everything. And with that, it really impacts how we feel on a day-to-day basis, not only physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And it is super interesting to learn that it feels as though it's almost something that isn't a choice, whereas if it was any other drug, it would have to be a choice. And so, yes, diving into this, and what I want to kick this off with is what my relationship with alcohol used to look like. So if you listen to the podcast, you will know that I come from a family where my dad is an alcoholic. And growing up and watching his behavior with alcohol, I swore to myself that I would never drink when I was older, because I saw how destructive alcohol was on a day-to-day basis, and it was something that truly disgusted me. But as I got older, it was like my senior year of high school, finishing my senior year of high school, I tried drinking for the first time, like we all do, and it was something that took me away from a lot of the pain that I was experiencing. So again, if you listen to the podcast, if you know my story, I had a lot of trauma and a lot of limiting beliefs that made me feel like I wasn't safe inside of my body. And because I didn't feel safe inside of my body, I was constantly trying to find ways to escape from it. And alcohol truly gave me that escape. So I started fucking binge drinking from this point moving forward, from age 18 until, honestly, age 25. And within that period of time, alcohol truly became something that like I depended on like a weekly basis. And there's a period of time, I'd say probably from like age 19 to age 23, where I was literally like drinking so much that I was blacking out 3 to 5 times a week. And I was getting myself into all kinds of tricky and sticky situations with men, with sex, with feeling so fucking hungover at work, with canceling plans, with just being so self-loathing. And it was something that really didn't support me in my life, but it felt as though something that like I had to do in order to even feel like I could function in certain situations. So I truly, like I said, depended on it. And there's definitely phases in my journey with alcohol where I felt as though like I couldn't talk to guys, I couldn't have sex, I couldn't even like hang out with my girlfriends if alcohol wasn't involved, because it always felt like something that took me out of my shell and took me out of my anxiety and out of my head and put me in the position where I could be more bubbly, where I could be more flirty, where I could be all of these things. And then I would do that. And the next day I would be in the position of just hating myself so much, having such bad anxiety, hearing about all of the stupid shit that I had done from the night before that I didn't remember, not remembering how I got home, driving drunk multiple times, which like I hate to fucking admit that, but that was like a part of my reality is like I drove drunk quite a few times and I would always hate myself so fucking much the next day for all of these experiences. And there was one point in 2020 when I had moved back from Idaho to Colorado, and I had just moved in with my best friend. And I saw a guy that I had been dating before I moved to Idaho and had such a great time with him, but he was in a relationship with another girl. And we were drinking while we were doing that. And I don't fully remember everything that happened, but I remember waking up on the floor of my shower with water pouring down onto me, Sad Tonight by Chelsea Cutler playing on repeat, and crying my fucking eyes out. And then after that, going and calling one of my brother's best friends from growing up and crying down the phone to him about how I'm not lovable and all of these different things. And that was the moment that the next day that I woke up and I was like, something has to fucking change. Like, my relationship with alcohol is so toxic and so unsupportive. And like, while back when I first started drinking and using this as like a social lubricant and like a way to have fun, like, it's not fun anymore. It's not fun anymore. I hate myself every single time that I drink, and I just don't want to have to live like this anymore. And she was so incredible and so supportive of it. And really, I started to take action towards changing my relationship with alcohol at that point. So that was like April of 2020. And from that point, I hired a therapist, and she was a therapist who was specifically trained to help me with the alcohol issues that I had, the addiction essentially that I had to alcohol. And through working with her, I definitely saw a lot of growth. But ultimately, what shifted and changed things for me was really diving further into the inner work and understanding why I didn't feel safe inside of my body, and tracing that lack of safety back to, again, my environment growing up, and feeling as though because there was this relationship with alcohol that my dad had, and how unsafe I felt around him because of it, and how unsafe I felt in our house because of it, that was the reason that I continued to play out this pattern. Because if you listen to the podcast, you know this, but essentially our subconscious minds make up 95% of the human brain and are typically molded between ages 0 to 7. So those things that you learned, those things that you saw in those super early fundamental years of your life are, whether you want to or not, a lot of the times the patterns and the things that you will continue to repeat over and over and over again until you do the work to heal your subconscious mind, and until you do the work to heal the trauma inside of your body that is keeping you stuck inside of those patterns. So I finally started to address that trauma there was a trigger warning, an event in the beginning of August of 2020, where the month prior to that, July of 2020, I had taken the month off of drinking. And on the very last night of July into the early mornings of August, I went to a party, and coming back from that party, my phone was dead. And I had a friend order me an Uber home, and the Uber didn't take me to my home, and he sexually assaulted me. And I was so drunk and was so scared and didn't know what to do. So I just kind of allowed that circumstance to play out because I was so fucking scared of what the outcome could be like if I didn't. And that next day when I woke up, that was another huge red flag warning sign from, I think, the universe, and I think just something trying to guide me towards quitting drinking, that said, Kat, like, you cannot put yourself in these kinds of situations anymore. You cannot be so compromised that you have no clue what is going on and allow people to manipulate you. So that was the next point where drinking really became something that I knew had to change in my life. Dove into another huge bit of healing work, and then the last big one was I had moved to New York City, and I was in the position that I had a lot of health issues start to come up. My skin was super broken out all of the time. My mental clarity was like not there whatsoever. I constantly had brain fog. I had literally zero energy, and I had really changed my relationship with alcohol, but still was drinking from time to time. And when all of these health issues started to pop up, was like, okay, this is it. Like, this is a sign from my body. I've had the signs from the universe. I've had signs from God. I've had so many fucking signs that alcohol is not something that supports me in my life. And I'm finally ready to listen. I'm finally fucking ready to listen. And so at that point, I then, on March 12th of this year, 2022, finally said to myself, I'm done. I'm not drinking, at least for a certain amount of time. At that time, I set myself a promise of 1 year, and we'll talk about that a little later on in the podcast, but I was just so fucking done. I was done with feeling this way. I was done with the way that alcohol was making such a negative impact in my life. And it was finally time for me to take that power back and really step into the position and the energy of the highest version of myself, who knew that she'd be so okay without it. And so started my journey of quitting alcohol. Is that the right words? Like quitting alcohol, quitting drinking, there we go. And really starting to understand who I was as a non-drinker. Because the biggest thing that kept me in drinking was the fact that I had created such an identity around it. For so many years of my life, I was the fun girl. I was the party girl. I was drunk Kat. I was the one who had tons of fun and let her hair down and did stupid shit and thought it was funny and was always up for a good time, always up for a drink, always up for a cocktail. And I was not only letting alcohol go, but I was letting go an entire identity. And when I decided to quit drinking, oh my God, the amount of limiting beliefs and doubt and ego talk that came to the surface in the first 1 to 3 months of quitting drinking was out of this fucking world. Like, I have never experienced the level of discomfort and resistance that I had experienced in the first 1 to 3 months of quitting drinking I literally felt like my life as a 26-year-old was over. Not like I wasn't going to do anything about it, but like I felt like my life of like being fun, being young, being hip, being able to go out and do things, being able to go on dates, being able to have sex, being able to like do all of the things that I had been doing when I was drinking was over, because my identity was so tightly intertwined to alcohol. And it was truly one of the most uncomfortable periods of my entire life to sort through and work through all of the different limiting beliefs that I had no clue that I still had, because I had quit drinking, because I had no longer had this substance that was numbing these things out and keeping them pushed down inside of me. And it was like I had opened Pandora's box, and all of the limiting beliefs and all of the shit and all of the wounds that I still had that I thought that I had worked through came to the surface. And it was such an uncomfortable time, but also now looking back, one of the most empowering times and empowering seasons of my life, because it truly allowed me to work through all of the shit that was still there and then rewrite a different script and create a new identity based off of what I wanted to be true for me and what ultimately is true for me at my core, which is the fact that I am so fucking fun with or without alcohol. I am so fucking confident with or without alcohol, that I can go on dates, that I can talk to guys, that I can be flirty, that I can have sex, that I can do all of these things that in the past I didn't think I could do without alcohol, without it. And not only that I am 100, 1,000, a million times more confident, more fun, more in my power, more in a position of strength inside of myself without alcohol. And truly, like, looking back to 4 or 5, 6 months ago, I couldn't have said that. I couldn't have said that I am a million times better without alcohol than I am with. And that has been essentially the journey. So once I really started to release these old identities, shed old layers of myself, and ditch the relationship with alcohol, I actually got to experience joy and confidence and peace inside of myself in a way that I never have before. And so many fucking incredible things have manifested through deciding to not drink. So many of those things being the most soul-aligned friendships with people who also don't drink. So many fun experiences where in the past I thought I would have to drink, and choosing not to actually made it a million times better. Just so many things. And I think more so than anything is like the fact that I wake up every single morning and feel good. Because I used to wake up almost every single morning and feel like shit, whether I had 10 drinks or whether I had one. It impacted me so much, and it truly, on a mental, emotional, and physical level, completely like hindered me from being the highest and greatest version of myself. And so, will I drink moving forward in the future? I don't know. I don't know what the rest of life holds for me, but I can say that after going on this journey and fully committing to myself and my health and my well-being in this kind of way, I know that if there ever is a relationship with alcohol moving forward, it will look nothing like it has in the past, with the binge drinking and the blacking out and the partying for the hell of it and needing a drink to go on a date and have sex and do all of the things. Because this season has given me the opportunity to actually cultivate unwavering confidence, unwavering trust, and just like knowing and worth inside of myself. And through that, it has absolutely completely transformed my relationship to my manifestations and the way that things manifest into my life. Because like I said, in the past, receiving these different things in my life felt very conditional on alcohol. For example, the going on dates and having sex. It's like, it almost felt unheard of to me to go on a date and not have a drink, because we're literally conditioned to believe that, like, in order to go and do that, you need to have liquid confidence. And it's like, fuck the liquid confidence. Like, you get to embody your own energy and your confidence regardless of the alcohol. And when you cut the alcohol out of the equation, in my opinion, that confidence becomes so much more real. It's not conditional on you putting a substance into your body to create that level of confidence inside of yourself. And it's just truly just changed every single aspect of my life. It's allowed money to flow into my life with so much more ease. It's allowed opportunities to flow into my life with so much more ease. It's allowed me to feel just physically, emotionally, and mentally like the best version of myself on a daily basis. And because of that, obviously, when it comes to our energy, it's like, when I was hungover, I was hanging out in a lower vibrational field. And because of that, I was attracting and manifesting more things of that vibration into my life. Whereas now I wake up feeling so fucking good. And I continue to build on that feeling of feeling so fucking good. And it puts me into a higher set point of attraction, which then, of course, is naturally going to magnetize more abundance, more money, more fulfillment, more of the things that I desire into my life without me doing anything. Just by me choosing to align with this highest and greatest version of myself. And so I do not create this podcast episode to tell you that if you drink, you're a bad person, or that if you drink, you're not going to be able to manifest the things that you desire into your life. Y'all fucking know that prior to quitting drinking 6 months ago, I was attracting and manifesting so much into my life, so much goodness into my life. What I am saying is that quitting drinking has amplified that so fucking much. So if there's any part of you that is curious, sober curious, just give yourself permission to try on those shoes for a bit. Give yourself permission to try this out, because you have absolutely nothing to lose by questioning your relationship with alcohol, and a lot to gain by questioning your relationship with alcohol. Again, the world just really teaches us that, like, once you turn 21, it's a privilege for you to drink. And, like, you should be drinking because you're over the age of 21. But the more and more people that I talk to, the more and more people I find that are like, alcohol fucking sucks. I don't like who I am when I drink. I don't like X, Y, and Z, all of these different aspects of what comes along as a byproduct of drinking alcohol. And it's like, if you find yourself in that category of people, question your relationship with alcohol. Question fucking everything, but question your relationship with alcohol. Why is it a part of your life? What does it do for you? What is it keeping you from? What are the different aspects of this that could be keeping you out of full alignment with the highest and greatest version of yourself? And it doesn't have to be a full-time thing. But if you choose to go on this journey, know from my end, you 110% have so much support from me. If you don't go on this journey and choose to question your relationship with alcohol, you also have 110% support from me. This is so individual, and I'm not here to say that drinking alcohol is right or wrong. It's whatever is right for you. And there's literally no judgment on my end of whether or not you do it or continue it or whatnot. I have plenty of people in my life that still drink alcohol, and my perception of them has not changed whatsoever. I think they're incredible people. They live incredible lives. I'm so grateful to have them in my life, and it's just their choice. So again, just wanting to say that and frame that this is not an episode to tell you that you need to quit drinking or be judgy about you drinking alcohol. It's just my experience because I've had so many people reach out to me and ask me to talk about my sobriety journey on Instagram. So there you have it. It has completely shifted, more so than anything, my health. I have so much more energy, so much more clarity, and through that, the energy, the clarity, just like the fucking confidence that I have now is absolutely incredible. So there you have it. One incredible resource for anybody who is questioning their relationship with alcohol. One of the books that I read at the very beginning of my sobriety journey that just like completely shifted everything for me is a book called Quit Like a Woman. Oh, fuck. I should look up who it's by. Look up on Google, Quit Like a Woman. I'll also just list it down below in the show notes because that book is, whether you choose to quit drinking or not, it's just so fucking educational, especially as women. And this book has completely changed my life. So like I said, that'll be listed down below in the show notes. And if anybody has any questions or anything else that they want to chat about in terms of sobriety with me, feel free to send me a message on Instagram. All of my DMs are always open, and I try to get back to every single message that I receive. So if you've enjoyed this podcast episode, feel free to send me a DM and let me know on Instagram. And if you know somebody in your life that would deeply benefit from listening to this podcast episode, please, please, please send this podcast episode their way, or screenshot this and tag me on Instagram and put it on your Instagram story so that you can share this message with other people. Because like I said, the more women that I talk to, the more I realize that a lot of us don't want to be drinking, but we just feel like we have to. So know that if you feel that way, you're not alone, and we can create so much support for each other by just letting each other know that we're not alone and that there's other people that feel this way. So that's all I have for you on this podcast episode. I'm sending you all of my love, and I'll chat with you on the next one. Oh my gosh, thank you for listening to today's episode. I am so grateful to have these no bullshit talks with you. If you enjoyed today's episode or the podcast as a whole, please spread the love by leaving me a review on iTunes or sharing the podcast with others. This is how I will be able to spread more of these good vibes and be able to make more of an impact on the lives of others. And if you're not already part of all of the goodness and communities that I have to offer, check out the show notes. I have links to the different ways that I can support you on your manifestation journey and help you live a life full of more money, fulfillment, and freedom. But that is all for now. So big love and hugs, and I will chat with you soon, babe.